All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. It is the off season in college football and the NFL. We are slowly getting to draft season, but it's fun because once we get to this moment here, we get to do some fun things with some different interviews. And Fresh, I'm excited about the guy that's about ready to join us, former Buckeye, former first round pick here. I can't wait to talk to him about his experience. We're going to be talking to the one and only Gareon Conley from Ohio State. Fresh, I'm excited.
Really excited about this. A lot of perspective into how the recruiting process goes. What's life at a major historic D1 program, and then go obviously into the NFL draft and getting drafted. And that transition from the college football world to the NFL and all the different stories and experiences. I'm really excited to dive into Mr. Conley's life and find out all about that and really hear some great stories and learn more about that entire process altogether.
So, Gareon Conley, thank you so much for joining us, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I appreciate y'all having me on too.
Yeah, it's
We're excited to have you.
absolutely wonderful. All right, so let's start in the very, very beginning. You grew up in like middle northern Ohio in the Massillon area, which is, if those people who don't know about Massillon football out there, like, again, the South says that they have like a diehard football thing. Football is pretty much king in Massillon, Ohio, correct?
Yes, football in Massillon is like what they say about Texas high school football. Like it's everything
Yeah.
for sure.
Did you ever get a chance to see, I don't know if it was back in the early 2000s, they released a documentary called like Go
Go
Tigers?
Tigers. Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't
with
watch the
just
whole thing, but I seen it. I've seen a little bit of it, but the clips I've seen from it, because they showed it to us, I think, when I went to high school, but I wasn't paying attention to everything. But the clips they showed us, I mean, if you watch it, it would definitely explain what Massillon football is all about and like what it means to the town and the city.
Yeah. And it's just that, so for those who don't know, it's probably just south between Cleveland and the Mansfield area there. So you're getting recruited out of high school there. And let me just ask you, like, because everyone wants to know, what's it like when you're being recruited, especially you're top tier cornerback, wide receiver in high school. What's it like when those big name programs start coming, showing up at school?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my experience was a little different because I was a hooper. Like, I wasn't a football player.
Oh, wow.
I played basketball since I was like 3. I played football for the first time in 7th grade. I was a running back. 8th grade, I was a quarterback. And then freshman year, so I was born in Massillon and grew up like all over Stark County, which is Akron, Kenton, and Massillon. And then I ended up going back to Massillon for high school. So my freshman year, I went to Massillon for football, but I didn't want to play football. I wanted to play basketball. And I ended up going to workouts the first day of summer and I quit. I didn't even play football my freshman year. And then sophomore year, I was number 97 on JV. I didn't even get in on JV. And I was a receiver for the first time. And I actually got in a varsity game and I had one catch for a touchdown. It was
What?
crazy, but never played after that. But the coach at Massillon, me and him just didn't go well together, I guess. He didn't like me for whatever
Mm.
reason. So then my junior year, I was not gonna play, but a coach from our rival school, Cam McKinley, came over. He coached Mike Doss in high school. His
Wow.
name's John Miller, John Spider Miller. He came over and he heard that I was a good athlete or whatever, and he was like, "Hey, I got a starting spot for you. I think you could be a really good corner." And him saying that to me was kind of like one of those things where it was just like he believed in me and seen something that I didn't, and that was probably like the only way I would get to college because Massillon wasn't really that good at basketball at that time, and I wasn't averaging like 25 points a game and all that.
Mm.
So I was just like, man, let me try football again. He believes in me. Let me take a shot. So I ended up playing corner for the first time my junior year, and I did well, and I got my first offer from Northwestern.
Whoa.
Northwestern, obviously, when they give you an offer, any Big Ten, not even Big Ten, when any school offers you, now that's when other schools start to look and say, hey, why is this guy getting offered, whatever. So then that's when the Team Up North offer came right after that. And then, so the guy who built Massillon's indoor, he's an
Hmm.
alum from the Team Up North. So he went there and I think it was another coach that went there that was on our staff. But then Sean Crable, I don't know if y'all know Sean Crable.
Hmm.
He went to Massillon. He played for the Patriots. He went to the team up north. So we had a couple guys that went there. So they were trying to get me to go there. So I went on a visit, and I've never been recruited for college before. Like I've never experienced it, never heard nothing about like anything. When I went up there, they try to, when you go on recruiting visits, they try to get you to commit. They give you everything. They tell you everything you want to hear. They get you the best stuff, gear, all this stuff. And they're like, you want to come here? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to come here. Like, I didn't know that was like a verbal commitment thing. I didn't know anything about that. So when I said that, I guess I verbally committed, which when it happened, I was just like, okay, I'm verbally committed, whatever. So then all these schools start coming out of nowhere, just not offering me, but just talking to me. Like schools are hitting me up on Facebook. I think Instagram had just started like that year, I think too. Instagram, Facebook, and then I'm getting letters in the mail, all this stuff. So then Luke Fickell was actually the first one to come to Massillon. And this is how much I didn't know about football. And I mean, I still rarely know who people are. He was in the school talking to me, and we had weight training class. And I leave, he just talking to me, introduce myself, whatever. I go back to weight training class, and people on the team is like, hey, Luke Fickell's here from Ohio State, da, da, da. And I'm just like, who's that? And then they show me, and I was like, oh, I was just talking to him in the office. They were like, you were just talking to Luke Fickell? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, didn't think nothing of it because I didn't know who he was. I didn't know how big, I didn't even know how big Ohio State was, like, or like the rivalry. I didn't know anything about it. Like, it was just, I'm a very outcasted person, like an introvert. So that was kind of how my recruiting process went. And then as it started, and then I wanted to play offense. My senior year, I ended up playing receiver and corner, but because I was a returning corner and had all these offers, they never threw to my side. So I never got any action really at corner my senior year. So it seemed like I was only a receiver, and I ended up doing well and being all Ohio. So I liked receiver. I mean, who doesn't want to score touchdowns and get the ball all the time? So that was like my goal. I wanted to go to college and play receiver. So Cincinnati was where my quarterback was committed at the time, and they told me I could come there and play both ways. So I was going to take a visit there.
Wow.
But that's when like Luke Fickell came, Vrabel started to recruit me. Rumors went around that I was going to go visit Ohio State, but really I was going to go visit Cincinnati. But when they heard I was going to visit Ohio State, Greg Madison was recruiting me from Michigan at the time. And he was like, we have a no visit policy. We'll pull your scholarship if you visit other schools, blah, blah, blah. So I took that as a threat, and I was like, well, I'm decommitting.
Right.
So I was like,
That's a little
I
strange.
decommitted. And so I waited for him to come to the school because they do their little checkups, and I told him to his face, I was like, I'm decommitting. He was like, you don't want to go to Ohio State. They're a bunch of liars, and you don't want to go there, blah, blah, blah. You should come here. And in my head, I didn't even say it to him, but in my head, I'm like, I didn't even have an offer to Ohio State or a visit. So
We're in the middle, man.
shows what you know. That's when I decommitted, and then I started to get recruited by Ohio State. And then I went there on an official visit after my rival game, which Urban and Vrabel, I can't remember if Coach Fick came, but Urban and Vrabel definitely came to my rival game. And that kind of solidified me wanting to go there because they were the only coaches out of all the recruiting. All the coaches that recruited me, they came to my rival game, and that meant something to me. So I went on a visit there, and then I committed to Ohio State right after that.
Yeah.
So that was my recruiting process.
What were your top, like, did you have a top three? Were you mainly just looking at, like, one to stay close to home in the Big Ten? Or, because Fresh is a Georgia fan, and we always kind of talk about the difference between the SEC and the Big Ten. Like, were there schools down in the SEC that were like, hey, it's warm down here. Come on down.
I didn't have any offers from SEC schools, but I think it
Wow.
was because, well, I don't know if it was because of that, but I think it was because I committed so early. Like literally when I got that offer, I went on a visit to Michigan and I committed. So I think that kind of took away from a lot of schools offering because I think I've only had like 7 or 8 offers. But Oregon was recruiting me. That's why I wanted to go because I just wanted to go there for their uniforms. Like I said, I wasn't a football player. So when they started recruiting me, I was like, oh, I'm going to Oregon. And the corner coach came all the way from Oregon to Massillon, Ohio to watch me practice, just to practice. So I was like, oh, they're definitely going to offer me. But it was the time when Chip Kelly was transitioning to the NFL. So they only had one offer left. And he was like, I'm going to try to talk to Chip Kelly to get you the offer, but he might offer this safety from Florida or something. So while they were waiting, I was just like, I'm not about to wait. I'm gonna go to Ohio State, and I actually committed to Ohio State. In Oregon, that coach had messaged me the day after or 2 days after I committed to Ohio State and was like, hey, we got that offer because Kelly left. And I didn't even respond. I was just like, nah. But yeah, I didn't really have a lot of schools like that committing me. I didn't have any SEC offers.
So when you made it to campus, what was that welcome to Big Ten, welcome to Ohio State football, like this wow moment, like this is different? And then on kind of a two-part question, what was the next moment you remember that's like, all right, I can play at this level, like I could be an elite player at Ohio State at the highest level?
Like my welcome to college, like
Yeah,
campus, or welcome to college
that first
football?
like welcome to college football, like that first practice moment, you're like,
Football,
this is
yeah. I
different.
remember because we call it third period, but everybody knows like third period is it basically it's not live, but it's like it's kind of like live. So I didn't know. I thought it was just third period, and I'm a freshman, and Carlos Hyde comes around the corner, and I go up to try to thud him, and he just run me right over. He probably don't even remember the shit, but he ran me over so hard. In my head, like, man, I thought it was thud, like, and nobody said anything. Coach is just yelling at me, telling me to get my ass up and all this, and I'm just like, man. But that was definitely, and I was like 160 when I went to college, so that
Mhm.
was like, it was just all bad. But even before that though, my kind of welcome to college moment was when I walked in, because I didn't lift in high school. Like I said,
Mhm.
I was not focused on like football like that. Like I just loved competing. Like I wasn't like a football junkie lifting all that. Like when we would lift in high school, I would go in a indoor and run routes with my quarterback. Like so when I got there, I was 160, and I remember Coach Meyer was telling me to my face, he was like, "You look disgusting. You'll never play on the field here like that." And I was just like, "Damn, like that's how it is." Because it goes from that, or it goes from recruiting, telling you what you want to hear, trying to
Mhm.
get you there to that. And I was just like, dang, like, what happened to,
The love's
we want
gone.
you to start, we want you to play, we want all this stuff. But that was kind of my welcome to college moment too. And then the second question, I feel like I feel like my freshman camp, once I started like doing reps and like, cause one thing about me, like I said, I'm an ultimate competitor. Once I started like just getting reps and like going against like the ones or twos, cause they would throw us in with the ones and twos like randomly to see how we would compete. I feel like even me losing a couple reps, it just ignited my fire to like get better, you know. So I would go in the next practice and then I would like strap up a one, you know, or a starter, and then you know what I'm saying, and then the next couple of days, like if I go again and I'm doing it again, like, and then once that happened, I really felt like I was able to play, but I really didn't feel like I was like solidified and knew I could like make it to the next level until after my sophomore year, which I was a redshirt freshman. My second year, I went in a Michigan State game, the year we won the Natty,
Mhm.
and I started for the first time, and they told me right before the game, like right before we went out, and I got murdered the first 3 plays of the game. And after that, like took the necessary steps to like prepare myself like I was gonna play every game after that, and I feel like I was just having really good practices, and I seen people going to the league like that I came in with that like my class, and that was really what like solidified like, oh yeah, I can definitely go into the NFL.
What was practice like? So like, Urban Meyer obviously built a team to win national championship. You have all that talent on both sides of the ball across the board. That 100+ guys, walk-ons included. What's it
Yeah.
like going to practice? You're like, there's dudes everywhere. Like I've got to be elite every single snap, basically.
Yeah, I think that's what made Ohio State, or in my tenure there, I feel like that's what made us like separate from a lot of different places. And that's what made us ready for obviously like to win championships or to go into playoffs, but that's what made us ready for like the hardest games because practices were so hard. And that was Coach Meyer's philosophy, like practice hard, very hard, make everything chaotic in practice so game days are easy. Like, and like you said, having all that talent, like Joe Burrow was our scout team quarterback. Terry McLaurin was a scout team
Mhm.
receiver. You know what I'm saying? Like Mike
Jesus.
Weber, J.K. Dobbins. I think he came early. Paris Campbell, Johnny Dixon. Like we had all these players that were just like monsters. These were our
Mhm.
scout team players, and not because they weren't good enough to play. They just had guys in front of them that were like vets already. You know, like so we just had these guys and you couldn't treat it like a scout team. Like they're going hard, they're trying to whoop our ass and trying to earn their spot the whole time. So that's what made us better, and I feel like that's what made them better going against us. Like guys like Denzel Ward and Marshawn Lattimore, like they're coming in as freshman scout team players for the offense. Like Hooker, like we have all these guys that our scout team when they first come in giving looks to starters, and then it just keeps going. That's how we get better every day.
I know it's a weird spot to put you in right now because obviously you're removed from it, but with the NIL transfer portal kind of situation now,
Hmm.
those players who are in the depth chart and they're working through the practice squad, some of those guys now are transferring out and going somewhere to start. Maybe they're ready, maybe they're not. But
Yeah.
how does that mess with a team? Because now you're losing a talent you're competing against on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I feel like NIL, man, I'm happy to get money, like I'm happy to get paid. Like I'm like funny jealous, but like I'm jealous that they're getting paid. I wish I would have got paid, but I feel like it messes with, like you said, like the depth chart, but just the hunger of these kids and these players now. There's no hunger, there's no struggle. I feel like there's just showing more entitlement when you can just leave and go wherever you want, and just like because you don't like it, or because it's hard, or because you're not playing as a freshman, or because you're not playing as a sophomore. Like guys are literally coming in, like when I was playing, like I said, Malik Hooker, Marshawn Lattimore, like they played 1 year. Like they
Mhm.
came in freshman year, redshirted. Second year, I don't know if Malik got hurt. I know Marshawn tore his hamstring. And then the third year, they play as starters and they go to the league. They didn't transfer. They didn't want to transfer. Like they knew they were at a great program and they knew they could develop. And I feel like that can happen at a lot of these schools. I mean, we've seen it with a lot of guys back when I was playing and before me. But I feel like with this NIL and this transfer portal, guys are going to schools for the wrong thing. They're going for money. And then coaches are recruiting based off of money. And I don't even know necessarily if the coaches even have the repertoire, the hunger to even get these guys to the next level or prepare them because they're worried about the wrong thing. Like I feel like it's just a whole bunch of mess with this NIL stuff, man. Like it's just
Yeah.
crazy. I've seen kids because I train here in Houston. I've seen kids of teammates or kids that I train, teammates that they had that go to school and they're going to this school or whatever, and they're bragging about like how they got this much money, but then they don't play, and then they're transferring, and it's like, well, you just wasted 1 year, and then also
Mhm.
that trickles down to, all right, now if you do come in and you do transfer when you didn't play, now you're basically below the radar because I'm either going to get another high school player that's coming in as a 4-star, 5-star, whatever, or I'm going to go get a transfer guy who's been in the program and played, or that was like a backup, and I can get them over you versus a guy who just left because he felt like he should have played and he didn't, and now you have no tape, no film, and you're only
Mhm.
worried about money. That's like a bad reputation. So I feel like it's messing these kids up for sure.
How much would you say, like, it's interesting your take on the transfer portal, because I really think, as a person who's been in those rooms before, who competed to get a spot. And I just pulled up like the 2014 team. Like in your defensive back room, Eli Apple, Tyvis Powell, Von Bell, yourself, Lattimore's in there too. Like all of those guys. And there's only so many spots on the field. And again, it's easy for these young kids to be like, shucks, I'm not starting, I'm not playing. But then you go behind the scenes and what you're learning in the film room and what you're learning in practice field, like, talk about how the collection of talent you had in the defensive back room, like, did that push you to get you to the point that you are at now?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We called it competitive excellence at Ohio State. That year, 2014, when we won the Natty, Eli is my best friend, one of my best friends. He was my
Hmm.
roommate all through college until he left. Me and him were competing for that starting spot that year,
Hmm.
2014. Literally, Coach Meyer and Coach Combs both told us like we still don't know. This is the week of the game, the first game of the season. They're like we don't know who's gonna be the starter still because you guys are both doing really well during camp. Like we were both doing well. He was showing me how to watch film, and like I was helping him with certain things. Like we were helping each other. We were roommates. Like we're watching film at night, like in our room together. Like mind you, we're competing for the same starting spot, but there is no ego. There's no jealousy. There's no hate. Like we're just trying to get each other better. Like because iron sharpens iron. and whoever wins the spot is going to win the spot. And what's crazy is I got hurt the week of the first practice. I caught a pick and I was like so high in the air that my feet came above my head and I landed on my back and I had to get carted off the field. So, and I'm not saying that's necessarily why I didn't start, but that kind of gave Eli like the nod because I couldn't play like that
Mhm.
week. So, he ended up starting, but he did really well during the season. But then he got hurt the week before the Michigan State game. He messed up his hamstring. So he was practicing that week, but like doing limited reps. And then the Michigan State game, like I said, they told me right before the game that I was starting. And I literally went in, I wasn't prepared because I wasn't preparing like I was going to be the starter. And I was getting cooked. And then he had to come in and play hurt and play off man the whole game. Like, but I remember him telling me, he was like, man, I couldn't let you go out like that. Like, he felt bad for me. Like, everybody was picking me up on the sideline and like telling me, like, you good, like, let it go. But I just couldn't get out of it in my own head. But like that year, we literally were competing for the spot and he got it. And then another step is my last year there, me, Marshawn, and Denzel Ward, mind you, I was a returning starter. We were all competing for the starting spot still, like the two starting corner spots, even though I was a
Mhm.
returning starter. Because I got Marshawn Lattimore and Denzel Ward competing for my spot. Like, I can't relax. Like, and luckily, not luckily, but we ended up being all on the field at the same time because I started learning nickel reps. Like, so I learned more, and that helped my stock go up, being able to play in the slot and outside. So I feel like just guys, just not necessarily, I mean, it is waiting your turn, but just like embracing that, embracing like trying to get a spot and earn it, not just be given it, and then understanding like the guys who are in front of you, they can help you get better by learning and watching them play, but also competing with them for their spot at the same time. And there, like I said, there was no ego, there was no jealousy, there was no hate. Like, we all were trying to get to the same spot, to the same goal, a championship into the NFL, and it helped us all get better, you know?
Let me ask you about 2014 here. 2014 is one of the most unique years in college football for Ohio State. And if you're not an Ohio State fan, most people would forget, Braxton Miller was the starting quarterback the year prior and was electric. He's out. Yet JT Barrett as I believe Barrett was a true freshman.
That was our redshirt freshman year.
He was a redshirt freshman, plays all the way up, gets hurt in the game, and then
Yep.
you got to go to Cardale Jones in the Big Ten title game. Talk to me about from the game against the Wolverines there through the national title game. What was that like being on that team?
Man, that team was like the adversity kings. We went through so much that year. Like, rest in peace, Costa. We lost a brother that year as well.
Mm-hmm.
Cardale, or like you said, Braxton goes down training camp, and he just literally like went like this, the regular throwing motion, and he just collapsed, and we were like so shocked, like we didn't understand what was going on. He went down, and then like you said, JT went down in the game. But it's crazy because if you would watch Cardale that year, like he always was like in practice, like getting his mental reps, like, and that's what Coach Meyer called competitive excellence. Like, when you're not in, you're doing your movements, you're getting your reps mentally. And he was always back there, like acting like who he was gonna throw to, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then when he came in, like if it was a blowout or anything, like he was always doing what he needed to do. And we kind of knew, like, other than like the little stuff that happened before off the field, like I don't want to play school and all that stuff, like the way he was performance wise, like we knew like we were good. Like, everybody outside of the locker room probably was like, like, what's Cardale gonna do? But like we had no doubt, like we knew he was gonna do what he did. Like, and for him to come in and just prove us right, like I felt like that was a big stepping stone for him. But like I said, we lost to Virginia Tech that year. Like, it was a lot going on. Like I said, the game Michigan State, Eli was hurt. I go in to start and I'm getting whooped, and we in a tight game against Michigan State. Like, it was just a lot going on that year, but we definitely came out on top. And I feel like when we beat Bama, because everybody was like thinking we are gonna get whooped by Bama, when we beat them,
Mm-hmm.
we knew we were gonna win a natty. Like, that was really the natty to me. That
Hey,
game was
Dave.
crazy.
Isn't it something where like the locker room, like you can put names on paper and say games aren't won on paper, but what's in that locker room, that camaraderie, the way you show up on game day for each other, is there's something you can't measure when it comes to putting teams like, oh, that's the spread or whatever's going to happen. Like, dudes are
Yeah,
showing up playing for each other, and you know it on the practice field. When you get game day, you're ready
yeah,
to go.
yeah. No, for sure. I think the camaraderie That's the one thing like I miss the most about college. Like, it's not like that in the NFL, which I understand because in the NFL you got a whole bunch of different ages. You got people who got their own lives, kids, families, all this stuff. Like college locker rooms, like you stay in there forever. You're getting whooped in a workout at 5:45. Like we're in there 2 hours after, about to be late to class because we're just talking, clowning, like just having fun.
Mm.
But then that off season too, like I feel like that's also the difference of college versus NFL because NFL off season you go train wherever you want. In college you're doing all that dirty work and all that behind the scenes work together. And that's why I feel like that year, 2014, is why we won a natty because that adversity they put us through those winter workouts was crazy. It was just awful. Like people passing out on leg press, people crying in the weight room, like them putting trash cans by the racks, like for people to throw up. Like you can't go to the bathroom and say you gotta throw up. Like no, you're gonna throw up right here next to this rack and complete the workout after. Like I passed out on leg press and they made me finish the workout when I woke up. Like it's crazy stuff. But like that's the type of stuff that helped us like fight through adversity during the season. And that's that camaraderie that was built. Like you see your teammate, your brother going through that stuff and you going through it with them together. Like you can trust them on the field and you trust them like in life. Like I tell people all the time, I'm closer to some of the people from Ohio State than I am like some of my family members. Like that is family to me. Like that's how it is.
You talk about competing, and you make the transition from college to the NFL. What was that difference that goes from preparing for college and being a team to going through the draft process and getting ready to now compete not for your teammates or a draft spot, but guys all across the country to be selected by one of those 32 teams and one of those limited number of picks?
Yeah, I feel like shout out to Coach Meyer and Coach Mick and just everybody, excuse me, and Ohio State staff. Like, they prepare you, I feel like, for so many moments in life. Like, that pressure for anything, that adversity for anything. I feel like they just prepared us like mentally for everything, obviously physically, but like competing, I was already an ultimate competitor, but I feel like when I got there at Ohio State, it just made me more of a competitor. Like I said, competing for spots. And then like I said, competing with your brothers, like people who you go to war with, like you're competing for those spots, but like understanding that balance of like, this is still your brother, like that just made you like infamous, like when you go against anybody else. Like I feel like because now you have that kill mentality. Like obviously not like literal,
Yeah.
but like you have that kill mentality with any challenge that comes in front of you or any like competitive nature that comes in front of you. And I feel like once we got to like that scene of the combine, like I was just already ready for it. Like I was projected lower, honestly. I feel like I was like lowballed because I was projected like low second, early third. And then after the combine is when it skyrocketed when I was like projected first round because I performed well. But in my head, I was already like, nah, I feel like I'm a first rounder. Not cocky. I was just confident that I was. And I just not proving people wrong, but proving myself right.
When you're in the combine, you're like, I've already had the game film. I've shown I can do it in live fire action. I'm here to run around in shorts and a t-shirt. Like, how can
Yeah.
how is this any gun different? Like, how can I sell myself and make myself even look better?
Like on the combine?
Yeah, like how was that different? All right, now I have to showcase this. No, I'm not tackling somebody. I'm not rigging a quarterback or a play. Like I just got to show pure athleticism out here and just get after it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was really the 40 that like what I needed to show, I guess, because they thought I was slow. I mean, I guess my unique experience was, or my personal experience was like I had a chip on my shoulder because they didn't expect me to do what I did, which I already knew I could do. So it kind of was just like a thing, like I said, with proving myself right. Like they didn't think I was gonna run a 4. They were like saying like, oh, he's not that fast. He's probably a 4.5, 4.6 guy. Go out run a 4.4. I forget the guy's name. He's one of the narrator or announcers or analysts. I forget his name, but he was saying like I had tight hips and all this stuff. And then like the first drill, I remember the first drill I did, I had like dropped the ball or something. He said something about like, yeah, that's usually something, and I was just like, but I didn't hear that like during the drill. I heard it after, but then like after that, I killed the combine, and then he was like bragging about like how good I was and how good my performance was. And I was just like, man, he corny, but it was just stuff like that. Like I had tight hips. Like I know I'm very flexible. I'm very fluid in my hip mobility and my hip turns and all that. Like everything was just like like I said, proving them wrong or proving myself right. Like, but that's what really my experience was with the combine. It was just like go do what you know you can do, which they didn't think I could, and that's what, like I said, boosted my stock. My drills were really good. Vertical was like decent. My 40 was really way better than they thought, and that's what really boosted like my stock.
So what's it like in between the time from the combine up until the draft? Do you get a sense of which teams are interested in you? Or do you get like a feel like, hey, like we had a really great time with Buffalo and
Mm.
but you maybe thought like your visit with Oakland didn't go that great or vice versa or however it works out. What's it like in between that time?
I mean, for me, after the combine, well, at the combine actually, so you do like the interviews with all the teams.
Mm-hmm.
The craziest part about my experience was I didn't talk to the Raiders one time. Like I didn't talk to
Wow.
them at the combine. I think I probably talked to so there's like interviews that you have set up with the teams, like specifically,
Mm-hmm.
like you go in their rooms, and then there was like an area where you had to go for like I think 30 minutes or an hour and just sit, and then they would have your name at a table, and then any coaches like could come up to you. I think they were like either scouts or assistant coaches. They could like come up to you and just talk to you. I don't remember if I talked to a Raiders coach at this little scout tables, but I know I never went in their room, never talked to them, never had a visit, like not on the phone, like anything. And they were the ones that ended up drafting me, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like in my process, like really didn't have a lot of teams like coming after me as far as like visits or anything. I had the Eagles, they wanted me to do a workout, and I was like, no. And then I went to Dallas, Tennessee, the Jets, Dallas, Tennessee, the Jets. I think that was it. Like, where I went on visits. So I didn't really have like a lot going on. But then, like, obviously my name was like buzzing because of my combine performance and me being a first round projection. But then, like I said, my experience was unique because I was actually falsely accused for sexual
Mm-hmm.
assault,
Right.
which the incident of that happened April 9th, which was basically the first week of April, a month or 3 weeks before the draft. And the girl waited 2 days before the draft to put that out or actually have the case come out. So I actually was like trying to get things in order, like, because I heard about like she was going to make a case or whatever, but nothing was happening. So I was trying to get prepared for that, but nothing was coming out. So it was still in the back of my head, but like it was like 3 weeks go by and I'm like, well, it ain't come out. So I started to kind of relax. So I go to the draft. It was in Philly that year. And I literally get to the hotel, didn't even get to check in. As soon as I walk in, the media for the NFL person was like, have you seen the news? And I was like, no, I was just on the flight. And they showed me the computer and she just turned it around and it was like Gareon Conley accused of sexual assault. And I was just like, wow, like what the fuck? And they were like, do you want to stay here? They were like, we got a whole bunch of media stuff playing. Like, we know they're gonna bombard you, like, or you could get you a flight back home. So I just ended up like going back home. So that kind of like messed up, obviously, like my stock and all that. And it was saying like I wasn't gonna go first round and all that. But I ended up doing like a lie detector test the day of
Mm-hmm.
the draft, and I did the rape kit way before that. So I had a rape kit that I had no evidence, no DNA, and then I had did the polygraph, and then I had two eyewitnesses. So I ended up like having good like probability of winning my case, and then I got the grand jury no bill. So that was what made the Raiders still kind of draft me or still want to draft me. They did their due diligence, and then I ended up still getting drafted first round. Thank God.
Yeah, yeah. I will admit, yeah, I read up on it, and I gotta say, like you for something as heavy as that, you handled yourself with like a lot of class and grace that I don't think that many young men in your position could have been like handled it with such maturity, especially at the end of the trial where you countersued her and only asked for I believe what $300.
Three.
Yeah. Which again, you're more focused on clearing your name, which I put such a level of respect on you for that one.
Yeah, I appreciate it for sure.
What was it like getting that phone call from the Raiders and then subsequently showing up at the facility and sort of like that I've made it moment, I'm ready to go? Like, this is the next chapter of my career?
Man, it was a blessing to even that call. So the way, I'm not sure if y'all know, but the way the call goes is your agent, well, I don't know if everybody's like that, but my experience was my agent called me and he was like, "Hey, like the Raiders are gonna call you." Like, and he was like telling me congrats and all this. And then they like call you and then tell you like, "We want you to be a Raider," or whatever. Reggie McKenzie, shout out to him and the staff from that year. They were the ones who took a chance on me and still drafted me after all that stuff. Mind you, that case still was not done until after the season. So I
Mm-hmm.
was still in that case that whole season. But just getting that call, like, and I was actually, because went to the draft initially, but ended up coming back because of everything going on. So I actually got to experience that moment with my family, and we were at a hotel, and there was a lot of my family there. So that was good to have. But man, when they called me, it was like so much relief, even though I still had a lot of stress from that being in the case, but it was just so much relief. Like it was just like kind of like a innocence thing, like where them drafting me was like, hey, we believe you're innocent. Like another person
Mm-hmm.
believes you're innocent, a team, an organization, to take that big risk and to kind of, I don't know if they're like powerful or nothing like that, but I'm just thinking in my head like, man, if they're still drafting me, like there's a chance like I'm really like gonna prove my innocence, and not be convicted. But so that was kind of like a relief for me. And then going there out to California, I took my mom. She's from California, so her going out there with me, like it was just a blessing for sure.
What was that first moment like? This is not Ohio State anymore. This is not the Big Ten, not college. This is the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be able to. I gotta be ready to take care of business on the football field.
I think I had a couple moments. I remember Amari Cooper killing me on like a slant release fade or
He
a
did us
fade
a lot of
release
people.
slant in practice.
Mm.
And the speed was just different in practice. But then like the games, I think like the speed of the games, knowing like everybody in the NFL is really good. Like so you don't get no games like in college where you play somebody you don't get no reps or you come out after the first quarter or first half. Like you're gonna be playing, you could play the worst team and they could have a star receiver, or a star quarterback. So it was just like that aspect of the game was different. And then also like in Ohio State, we played cover four press the whole time. We pressed bail in pressure situations, like when we ran pressure. So in the NFL, I had to learn how to play off. And I pressed everything. They used to scream at me so much, like, get off, you can't press. And I'm just like, I only know press. Like, but then I had to understand, like, if you press, then you're giving away the defense. Like, and NFL is really big on disguise because the quarterbacks are that good that they could just dice your defense up if they know what you're in because the corners press the whole fucking time whenever it's man. So it was like things like that I had to understand, like, I gotta get way better at. But that was kind of my other welcome to NFL moment. Like, you gotta learn more than just play man or play press. Like, you gotta learn how to disguise. You gotta learn how to mess with the quarterback, understand what other people on the defense are doing so you can do your job better. Understanding splits are different, the field is different, like, because the hashes are closer, the numbers are closer. Like, it was a good transition that I just took it as a challenge for sure.
So what advice would you give some of these kids that are coming out in the draft this year? Like if you could sit down with any of the defensive backs, what would you say to them?
I would say, one, just trust who you are for sure. Don't let anything come in the way of who you are and what you did to get here. Like, I feel like one thing about me when I did transition, obviously because I had stuff going on, like I said, in the court case, but also like the money. I feel like that is kind of a good thing about NIL because it will prepare them to already like know about money and be handling money in the business side if they come from a good
Mm-hmm.
program and a good team that is already like shown them financial literacy. But I feel like that for me was a big transition because I've never had money like that. So it kind of, in a sense, was like a relaxation thing. I wasn't working as hard as I did to get there when I first got there. And I feel like when I got traded to Houston, that's when I really started to pick it back up and like work how I worked to get to the NFL. So like I said, I would just say stay true to who you are and understand like how you got there and keep that mindset because it's not about getting there, it's about staying there because the NFL is not for long. Like that's what it stands for. It's for us. Like the average career is 2 to 3 years. Like I feel like it's not even that. Like some people go in there one and done, but they just end up staying on the team but not playing or something. just stay true to who you are. And then as far as like the aspect of the game, definitely have to learn, keep learning football. Like, because these offensive coordinators, it's an offensive game, one. Like, the rules for pass interference, you can't touch them after 5 yards and contact and all that. It's made for offense. They want scoring because that's what gets money down to get money, entertainment. Understanding like you got to learn the defensive schemes. You got to learn the offensive schemes. You have to learn like this, like I said, the splits, like the different dimensions of the field. Like just keep learning football like as much as you can. Study tape as much as you can, and just be a guru when it comes to watching film and studying football.
That's tremendous advice. Sometimes it's being coachable. I think what you're trying to say is, be open to anything, be able to listen, and be ready to rock and roll because the game
Yeah.
is fast. And you got to be able to keep up to it every single moment.
For sure. And understand, I think the third thing, understand that it is a business. But like I said, that's kind of helping them with this NIL coming into college now. Uh, it's all a business. Whenever money's involved, it's a business. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't take things personal. Don't let people disrespect you, obviously, but like you can't take things personal and just understand that it's a grimy business for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a grimy business.
So I got one last question before we sign off here. I'm just curious to get your takeaway.
Mhm.
As a guy who is watching the next generation of Buckeyes come up,
Mhm.
you see maybe arguably the greatest wide receiver in a generation, Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
With you playing defensive back, what does he compare? Like you say, like this is where I could legitimately see him being a comparison, or is he going to be the type of guy that will rewrite this whole thing?
I think he will. I think he will rewrite. I think he's gonna be his own person, but comparison, I see like a Megatron. Like he just, because one thing, like I mean, like I don't sugarcoat. Like I feel like I can guard anybody. Like so with him, like I don't see like the crazy route running. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he can run routes. I'm not saying he can't, but like versus Carnell Tate, like I feel like Carnell Tate's routes, but I feel like he doesn't do that because of the things he's blessed with. Like he doesn't even have to run routes like that. Like, and I feel like that's why he doesn't run routes like crispy, you know what I'm saying? Like very technical, like in his routes because he doesn't need to. So that's why I say like a Megatron comparison. But I feel like him with his mindset, I think is just different. Like he's gonna set his own statute. Like because it's hard to have a mindset like that when you are talked about as the greatest wide receiver, one of the greatest, or like being this good. And like most of these kids, like they let that stuff get to, even when they're 5 stars coming to high school, they get this NIL, all that. Like he still works like he's not that Jeremiah Smith guy. Like he's not that best wide receiver in college football. Like he works like he's still trying to get there, and that was my advice to like younger players, like keep that chip, keep getting better, keep grinding. So I feel like people like that, like they just that's like those guys like Kobe and like Jordan, LeBron, like they just keep getting better, like no matter what, they keep working, they keep doing everything they can, like they aren't already there. Like those are guys who rewrite history for sure.
Well, to your point, and I know we're wrapping up here, but you look at just Ohio State example. What if the best corner stopped at Chris Gamble? It's like, you know what, Chris Gamble's the best here. I'm not going to compete to be better. Or receivers, the laundry list of receivers at Ohio State, running
Yeah,
backs, offensive linemen. You're always coming in to be better than the guy that was right before you.
exactly.
You don't want to stop there. Like, there are guys that are probably untouchable, but you want to compete to be at that level, get everything you can to be on that list of those other names.
Yeah. I mean, that's evolution. That's what I tell guys all the time that I train. Like these kids that I train, and my kids, like my children, like I want you to be better than me. That's the whole point. Like for me to go first round and all this stuff, I want to teach you, and that's what I teach every kid that I train. I don't like sugarcoat. I don't like hold back like because they're younger. Like I teach them everything about like the business side of it, and I teach them everything about schematics and coverage and like how to really run coverage, not like how these high schools want you to run coverage. Like but I tell them, like, man, you learn all these things that I learned in college and the league as a high schooler. You should be better than me when you get to college. You should be better than me in high school. Like, that's the whole point of the world is to evolve and give back to the next generation so they could be better than us. So that's what's good. Like you said, that's what should happen. It shouldn't stop at Jeremiah Smith. There should be another one that comes in and tries to be better than him and tries to reach that level.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think that's great advice, whether it's working with kids for football, or just like you said, with your own kids. That's great parenting advice, like wanting a better life than whatever you had, and trying to give that and prepare your kids to have that. So it's
Yeah,
amazing advice.
sure.
So, well, thank you so much for joining us. We
Thank you,
we
Gareon. Really
really were
appreciate
looking
it.
forward to this interview. So again, it's been absolutely fantastic, and by all means, you're more than welcome anytime you want to come back on.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me. Anytime y'all want me, let me know.
Yeah,
Good luck this
absolutely.
year. Good luck with your boys when you train as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, you've been listening to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're part of Spinnable Sports, so make sure you check out spinnablesports.com. Special thanks to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible. Like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. Leave us that 5-star review, because you guys know, Fresh and I, we are those 2 5-star prospects. Hit the subscribe button, because we got more draft coverage coming to you all season long here as we work our way up to NFL draft. And make sure, if you're a baseball fan, Fresh has just started releasing the Power Alley podcast. Again, I'm still waiting. Why hats are for bats, Fresh. I really need to know. Keep that warm. So let me know when you're ready to do that one.
That'll be a future episode. But until that time, everybody, spinnablesports.com, Spinnable Sports YouTube channel. Hit us up on the X. We'll talk to y'all later. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Have a great time. We'll talk to y'all later, everybody. Bye, y'all.